Okay. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? Good morning, online. Good morning. Okay, so hope everyone are doing good. Let's jump on. What did we discuss in our last class? Prometheus and Grafana, right? So did you guys complete it? Completed, huh? Wow. No? Okay, you missed. You back. Done. No, okay. So how about you online? Did you guys complete it? Very good, Naveen. How about others? Okay, so take your time and do it. Hmm? So let's move on to today's super important topic, which is the last topic of our course, and that is Terraform, right? And I would like you to concentrate and don't get scared. There's nothing to scare here. So people think that Terraform is a lot of coding and all. Of course, it has coding, but the way that how we go each and everything with basics, you don't feel that as coding at all, and you feel that you will be like a developer from the Terraform. Okay. So as I have a habit, like whenever we start with any tool, I have a habit of going with the history of it, right? So why we need this tool, and what was this before, when it got invented, right? What is this all about? So to tell about the history of this Terraform, we need to go back few years back, and do you remember in AWS there is a service which is used for automating the infrastructure, cloud formation. Do you remember we have completed cloud formation, and we did the project also with the cloud formation, VPC projects and all? Yeah. So cloud formation, why we need cloud formation? Yes. In previous days, what we used to do is, in order to launch an EC2 instances, we used to launch manually. And okay, one time, two time, three times are fine, or 10 times are fine, or 50 times are also completely fine. But if you want to repeat the task, every time, not only in one region, in multiple regions. Let's say, for example, I have asked you to go ahead and then launch particular type EC2 instances with the load balancer, everything in 6 regions. How many regions? 6 regions. How much time waste it will become, right? So in one region, you will set it up. Same thing you need to do it in the second region. Same thing you need to do the third region. That's the reason why on Cloud Formation VPC project, for peering also we did the Cloud Formation only. So instead of creating the infrastructure, say the word, instead of creating this infrastructure manually, we create this entire infrastructure automatically. What's that? Automatically. Um, yeah. I want to tell you one thing. By seeing all of you here offline, uh, especially offline, you people, especially my students, you look very calm and composed. And I really like this environment. Calm and composed, and all your faces looks very professional, right? Very respectable. But why I am saying this is, you see the other batches students also. I saw generally other batch students, and I really doubt that they came for learning or something else, right? So I'm just appreciating you offline people. So be like this only, be calm and composed all the time. So with that, you can go anywhere and you can reach any heights. Always be on down to earth, right? And then it's really good. I like this environment. Okay, say thank you. Yeah, good. So because I compare, I don't usually compare. Every student is unique, but at least I can see like other students, like when you go out and some other is coming in, right? And I see how they behaves, and you're good. Okay. So I was talking about this AWS infrastructure, right? So AWS infrastructure manually we used to create before, but okay, online people are clapping for you. Offline, say thank you to them also. Okay, nice. So later, AWS introduced a service called Cloud Formation. What's that? Cloud Formation in the year 2011. When? 2011. So till that time, everyone were doing it manually. So later AWS came with a service called Cloud Formation in 2011, right? It's a very cool service to automate the entire by creating the infrastructure. If someone is setting up VPC, you know how to set up VPC. So if someone is setting a VPC manually, so we need to do all the 7-8 steps, remember? Create a VPC, create internet gateway attached to the VPC, create public subnet, private subnet, remember all these things. So we used to do this manually. Later, Cloud Formation came in 2011, and with this help of Cloud Formation, so people started to create this entire infrastructure automatically. What's that? Automatically through code. Through code. Remember, if at all you want to do something automatic or automation, what we need? We need to have a code. So coding, when I say coding here, it is not literally like your C program or C++ or Java, .NET. No, this is not related to that kind of coding at all. So it has its own style of coding. We'll talk about that. So in 2011, this Cloud Formation came, and AWS introduced all new services will be introduced every year. And there is a conference will be happening called AWS reInvent. Have you heard about that? reInvent. You used to get the emails, right? So reInvent. So that will be conducted in US. So when I was in Europe, USA, yes, Naveen. When I was in Europe, so I didn't have opportunity. So my company was forcing me to go there, but due to some issues, I didn't go through it. But that conference will be super interesting, right? And it's not that easy to go there. Of course, those who are in US, they can go. In that very big AWS, principal architects or big higher levels, these people come, and then they will start telling about their new services launched for the next coming years, right? And then there are so many company heads, right? And then newly startup company people. There's so many people like him will come in that conference, and they will start discussing with each other. There are so many opportunities will come if you go there. But yeah, what is that conference name? reInvent. What's that? reInvent. So reInvent, in that reInvent 2011, they announced this Cloud Formation. So very active IT infrastructure, a person who is very active in IT infrastructure, normal person like you. So he saw that Cloud Formation, he was really impressed. Wow, entire infrastructure is getting created automatically through code. It's really nice. So what he did is, he started writing a blog. He started writing a blog saying that Cloud Formation super, is too much, too good, a very nice service, super interested, everything. After a couple of days, he got a basic question. He got what? Basic question. Okay. In AWS, we have Cloud Formation to automate infrastructure. Important. To automate infrastructure using Cloud Formation. Say that, using Cloud Formation. For Azure, there is something called Azure Resource Manager, ARM. Say that. ARM templates. What we call ARM templates. For AWS, we have Cloud Formation. For Azure, we have ARM. For Google, you have Deployment Manager. What's that? Deployment Manager. So for these are the three giant cloud providers, right? What are those? AWS, Azure, GCP. So for AWS, Cloud Formation. For Azure, we have ARM, and for Google we have Deployment Manager. So he got a basic doubt. And for each and every cloud provider, we have a service. But do we have any tool which is common for all? Which is common for all? Basic doubt. AWS is thinking about only AWS. Azure is thinking about Azure. Google Cloud is thinking about Google. But he got a doubt. Is there any tool where it is common for all the cloud providers? And he wrote that question in the blog. And he put that question in a blog called Tumblr. There is still website is there. Tumblr website. So he put that question. Na AWS has responded. Na Azure has responded. Neither Google Cloud has responded. It has been weeks. It has been months. No one responded. In these weeks, months, and years, when no one is responded, there is something happening in the back end. There is something happening in the back end. So, no one answered. But in this year, from 2011 to 2014, how many years? In these 3 years, everyone was silent. But one guy, his name called Mikhail HashiCorp. Say that. What is his name? His name is that guy only. Okay, Hashimoto. What's that? Hashimoto. Okay, Mikhail, we say, what do you pronounce this? Mitchell. It's not Mitchell or Mitchell, okay. So, Mikhail. Okay, so whatever it is. So you can, okay, let's use our language only. Mitchell, okay. So Mitchell Hashimoto, say that. Mitchell Hashimoto. So in 2014, in the month of July, so he announced a tool called Terraform 0.1. So everyone got shocked. What is this Terraform? So this guy came up and said that this is a open source infrastructure as a code tool, which is free, open source. Infrastructure as a code. That meaning through code. So the wonderful thing about this Terraform is Terraform will work for AWS also. Terraform will work for Azure also. Terraform will work for Google Cloud also. Terraform will work for many of hundreds of service providers also. So he introduced this tool, right? Tool in 2014, and he has a company called HashiCorp. Say that. What is company name? HashiCorp. HashiCorp. Hashi Corporation. Well, like, you know, his name is Hashimoto, right? So he named it as HashiCorp. And the main purpose of this Terraform is it allows users to define provision infrastructure resources in a consistent, repeatable manner using a high-level configuration language called HCL. Say that. HashiCorp configuration language. Say that. This is an interview question. In Terraform, which kind of language they use? HCL. What is HCL? HashiCorp configuration language. Very important question. So it is not Java, it is not .NET, it is not C, C++. It's not Python. It is, he has developed its own kind of human readable language where it will be easily, people can easily understand. But it will be one level up than our normal YAML files, Guys, YAML files are all, it is human readable, right? Whatever that we wrote in Ansible, whatever we wrote in Kubernetes, everything is human readable. But this one is little bit different, little bit higher. But we use little bit of variables, concepts, arguments, and all these kind of things. So what is the language it uses? HCL. Say that. What's the full form? So now, later, nowadays, so it was free before, an open source tool, but now it is not open source. So now there is a new tool called OpenTofu. Say that. it is same like your Terraform only, but Terraform is still free, but to a certain level. But if you need enterprise another level, then we go for license based. But here we have something called Open Tofu. Say that Open Tofu, it's a fork version of Terraform only. So people are using Terraform only in the companies, but a little bit advanced new people, they might go for Open Tofu. It looks like similar like a Terraform also. So when this is got developed in 2014, so this is developed in which language? Go language. In the backend, they use what? Go language. And who is the guy? Yeah, Navi. So Mitchell Hashimoto, and what's the company name? HashiCorp. The alternatives of this Terraform is Pulumi. Say that. Pulumi. So Pulumi is also a tool which is for infrastructure as a code. So Ansible, we don't use it, this Ansible, because Ansible is mainly for configuration management. So with Ansible also, can we launch EC2 instance? I gave one, remember, one YAML file, right? So, but it is not recommended to create the infrastructure using Ansible. So you need to create infrastructure using only Terraform. Ansible will help you to for configuration management. For what? Configuration. Let's say, for example, Terraform will help you to launch EC2 instances. Ansible will help you to go inside it and then install something. But Terraform, remember this, Terraform will help you only for infrastructure, use only for infrastructure setup. Terraform is not for deployment. Terraform is not for management. Terraform is not for anything. Terraform is only to automate the infrastructure. Like in AWS, what are the things that we create? VPCs, EC2s we launch, S3 buckets we create, RDS instances we create, right? And then load balancers we create. All these things will be done automatically through Terraform. With Terraform, can you go and deploy the application? With Terraform, can you install, uninstall stuff? No, remember. Every tool has its own properties, right? So Terraform will help you to automate the infrastructure, remember. And also Chef Puppet is related to your old version of Ansible and Open Tofu. Okay, now. So let us see about Terraform structure. What's that here? Terraform structure. So in mainly, most of the people uses these three files in Terraform. By the way, whenever you create, guys, in Ansible, we created playbooks. What's the extension? .yaml. In manifest files also .yaml. But remember, in CloudFormation also YAML. So that is basically CloudFormation templates we call. What we call? CloudFormation templates. Here also in Terraform, we call it as Terraform templates. And the extension file, the file extension is .tf. Say that. .tf. .tf. Terraform. So file name .tf. You can write ec2.tf, s3.tf, or main.tf. Main meaning main file. Right? So do you remember the concept of variables in Jenkins? Not only Jenkins, everywhere we have learned. What is variable? We store a value. So we can store a value and then we can use that variable name anywhere in the program or not. So similarly here also we have the concept called variables. Example, let's say you need to launch an EC2 instance. So we need to give the input values or not? Can you tell me what are the inputs we need to give for EC2 instance? We need to give AMI details. Instance type, RAM meaning instance type. Security groups we need to, key pair we need to provide. All these all will come under variables or not? I will say instance type is equal to T2 micro. What is that? Variable. Instance type is what? Variable. Key pair, our 9am batch. That's a variable. So all these variables you can mention in what? Variables.tf. Say that. Variables.tf. So we have the main.tf. Main.tf meaning it contains all the main information. Let's say, for example, it contains something called providers. Say that. Main.tf providers meaning here which provider we are using? AWS. AWS is a provider. Guys, remember, this Terraform we call it as cloud agnostic. Say that. Cloud agnostic. Cloud agnostic meaning common for everyone. So Terraform is not only for AWS, Terraform is also for Azure, Terraform is also for other cloud providers as well. But which is the cloud provider we are using here? AWS. So in Terraform, whenever I talk about provider, so that means you should say AWS. Later, once you completed my training, right, later when you get a time and if you want to look at Azure, as I told you guys, remember, AWS and DevOps, you know to look back. You are done with it. So, and look for the job, especially freshers. Experienced people, as you completed this training, you are good in now AWS and DevOps and all these tools. So the next level, when you get time, and if you want to upskill yourself, don't go for any other technology. So the next technology or next cloud provider that I should recommend for you is Azure. Which one? So Azure, you don't need to join any courses and all. As you completed AWS, similar concepts will be there in Azure. You can do it by yourself itself. Honestly. But remember, whenever you are habituated with AWS, right? Whenever you go to Azure, you put a weird face. What is this? How? Yeah, I don't want. So, right? Yeah. So, guys, those who at least look the Azure console, you go mad. It's not. It's not user friendly like AWS. It's not like that much clarity on AWS. Azure is like a mixed masala. Yeah, blue and white, right? So only two colors. So remember, when you get time, so go for Azure and Azure DevOps. This is your next level. Yeah, too many repeating features everywhere. Exactly, Naveen. Kiran is asking, sir, why we need to learn Azure? One cloud is enough, no? AWS is enough, Babu. It's enough. What I'm doing, if you want to upskill next level, you are not even listening that word. What you need, sir, is asking to learn one more training, right? See here, guys, you want to upskill next. You're not immediately, I'm saying. So maybe 1 or 2 years, right? Then you have a time, right? So it is always good to upskill. Okay. So if you want to upskill, many people will have, sir, which technology I should learn? Do I need to go for Java? Do I need to learn .NET? Do I need to learn something else? No. So next go for what? Azure. And also I told you Python basics. This is your next 20 years. Okay. Good. What about GCP? If you learn AWS GCP, Azure will, if you learn AWS and then Azure, GCP is like child, which will come from backside. Hey, please help me. I'll also get to you. So GCP is also like similarly like AWS only. It looks like your Gmail. Okay. Similar, it looks like your Gmail only. So then you will become a multi-cloud expert. What's that? So no fresher will ask, no one in the world will ask for fresher, do you know multi-cloud? No one will ask, I'm telling you. Learning one cloud itself is more than enough for you to get the jobs. So you don't need to go for Azure, GCP, multi-cloud is not necessary. And secondly, for experienced people, I should not see. Generally, in Naresh IT also we have multi-cloud. Have you heard? DevOps with multi-cloud. Okay. Okay, I'll not tell. Okay. So here only AWS. That DevOps with multi-cloud is also how many days? 3 months or 4 months? Only 3 months AWS we learned here. You're understanding? Only 3 months AWS we learned. DevOps with multi-cloud. Multi-cloud. AWS, Azure, GCP, DevOps. I leave it to you. Right? So the content is very, of course. Okay, no. Okay, so whoever comes to my bin, that meaning my house, right? This training, I'll give the full-fledged. So guys, AWS full-fledged is there for you. Azure, you can do it by yourself, right? So, but in that multi-cloud training, so the Azure will be only 10 days maybe. What do you learn in 10 days? To be honest, right? So for that reason, go with DevOps with AWS as you did. Good one. So, but if you want to learn something new, right, go with Azure, Azure and Azure DevOps, right? So separately you can learn by yourself. There are so many tutorials out there. Let's not talk about that. Okay. So, yeah, Nafi. So you guys are lucky, those who are with me here. Okay, Nana. So what are the main files? Not only these files, we have so many different files are also available. So can you tell me what are the three main things? Main.tf, say that. Main.tf, variables.tf, output.tf. One more time. So in main.tf, what it contains? It contains the provider information. Which provider information here? AWS. From there, I went somewhere, right? From this provider. Okay, so which provider we are using? AWS. Resources meaning what? EC2 instance is a resource. VPC is a resource. S3 is a resource. Everything, all resource information will be there in main.tf. And then data source, don't worry about it. It's a high level to talk about that now. So remember, in main.tf, mainly what it contains? Provider information, resource information. Say that. One more time. Provider information, resource information. Okay. So variables.tf contain defined variables. What's that? Defined variables. Defined variables meaning instance type is equal to T2 micro you defined. Right. And then AMI ID is equal to AMI ID you defined. All this information will be there in variables.tf separately. If you want, you can mix it in main.tf. Guys, everything can be in one file also. But is it good to be in one file? No. So it's good to separate the files. And output.tf meaning here, let's say when you launch an EC2 instance, what is your what do you expect as an output? Running is fine. And then what do you need? How, if you want to connect to the EC2 instance, we need what? IP address. We need the DNS name, if load balancer, and availability zone, which availability zone it has launched. All these are all output, right? If you want to see the outputs, then go for output.tf. It's not mandatory. If at all you want to see the output, output.tf. So main.tf, variables.tf, output.tf. Okay. Not only that, there are so many other TF files also will be there. Let us go. So guys, here I told you main.tf contain what? Provider and resources. So in real time, we will not mix everything. We will separate. So provider.tf, we will separate. It contains only provider information. What information? So if you go to Google in Terraform providers, if you say Terraform providers, browse. Did you see? So this is a Terraform official website, and then we have the providers. And what are the providers we have? The main first one, AWS, Azure, GCP, Kubernetes. You can automate Kubernetes also, creating clusters and all, right? Alibaba, Oracle, right? Do you see this? How many are there? There are so many are there, so many. And which one we are learning here? AWS. If you click on this, do you see the code here? So do you see the code? So this is the code that we should be using it. So Terraform code will be like this, but it's very early to show you, but I'm just showing how it looks like. So do you see this here? Terraform, what we call it as block. Say that. We call it as what here? Block. So, and then, so this is a required providers. Which is a required provider we are using? AWS. And then source is equal to HashiCorp/AWS. And for every provider, there will be what on here? Version. What is the version now? 5.97.0. So if you go here, do you see this here? You have so many versions for AWS. Which is the version here we are using? Latest version 5.97. But there are few infrastructures in your companies. See, this published how many hours ago? 9 hours ago. This one, 7 days ago. This one, 14 days ago. So every month or a few days, new version will get released. So in your company, you or developers might have developed the code with some kind of version. So you need to use the same version. You need to use what? Same version. If your infrastructure is running on 5.94 and if you want to do it now, will you put 5.97? No. So version need to be same. So whenever you're creating new files, then always go for latest version. Got it, Nana? So that version, that entire version information will be there in providers.tf. Say that, providers.tf. So I'm making you, guys, I told you, I promise that I'll be teaching you Terraform from step-by-step basics, right? So you need to concentrate and you need to repeat what I'm saying. So, no, Naveen, backward compatibility, we can do it. We can downgrade. There is a concept for that also. So provider.tf, and then what here? Version.tf. Guys, provider.tf, you can put only AWS. Just now I showed you version, no? You can put that version also in separate file. Guys, what we are doing, we are just separating it. So all the things you can put in main.tf only, right? Main.tf only you can put provider, version, everything, resources, everything you can put in. But in real time, it is always good to what? Separate. But if you separate, what will happen is, you can modify only in one place. If you don't separate, you need to modify in multiple places or not. For that reason, provide.tf is for mentioning the providers. Version is used for what purpose? Mentioning the providers version. Say that. Say that again. These terminologies are important. Which version is that? Providers. Who is our provider? AWS. This is AWS provider version is 5.97 now. Next one here is backend.tf. Say that. Backend.tf meaning, we have a concept. See, Terraform will create everything for us, right? You write a code and you execute the code, and then Terraform will launch how many machines that we need. So that entire state, let's say in Terraform, I wrote a code to launch 5 EC2 instances. How many? 5. Terraform has launched 5 EC2 instances. Now you manually launched 2 more EC2 instances. How many are there total? 7. How many Terraform knows? How many Terraform knows? 5. Because that 2 machines is not created by Terraform. So that entire, how does the Terraform knows that it has launched only 5? It needs to maintain one file or not? It needs to maintain that state or not? That is called state file. What is that called? State file. So Terraform, so entire information will be stored inside the state file. Say that. State file. State file meaning it contains the actual information. So whatever the Terraform has did in your AWS account, that entire information will be there in the state file. We'll talk more about the state file, but I'm just telling you. Now tell me, state file, wherever you're writing your Terraform code, where do you write the Terraform code? You can write it in your local laptop also. Most of the developers like VS Code, Visual Studio, you can use Visual Studio also, or else you can launch EC2 instance. From that EC2 instance also you can do it, right? You can do anywhere. But wherever you are running this Terraform code, in that place only state file will be created. In that only state file. Let's assume now, guys, please be in this situation. See, now you are running the Terraform code. So many templates are there. So many projects. Okay, so you did a lot of things. You created EC2, load balancers, auto scalings, RDS, S3 packets, a lot of things. Entire information will be stored in which file? Louder. Louder. State file. Entire information will be in which file? State file. State file is very important or not? Let's say you deleted state file. Will Terraform work? Will Terraform work? Terraform will not understand what it has created. The heart of Terraform is state file. Very dangerous file. Will you go and calify state file? Will you go and ungli karoge usko? So do not touch the state file, and you need to maintain the state file very, 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 very securely. For that reason, would you keep the state file in your laptop? Would you keep your state file in your EC2 instance? If someone EC2 instance you terminated, state file is gone. Laptop crash, state file is gone. Then where do you keep the state file? In S3 bucket. And enable versioning for it. Okay. That is called backend. That is called what? Backend.tf. Understood? No? So state file is very, very, very important. Okay. So this is a file used to configure the backend, which require how and where Terraform stores its state data. State data here meaning state file. What we call a state file. Good. Main.tf you know. Variables.tf you know. Terraform.tf vars. What is that? Terraform.tf vars. See, in variables, what we do is, in variables.tf, can you tell me one example of variables.tf? What do we mention in variables.tf? Instance type is equal to T2 micro. Example, I'm taking only one variable. You are declaring the variable value also there itself or not? But now we are doing, what we are doing is, we are taking out the value separately. In variables.tf, we are putting only instance type. Values, I'm putting it in the TF vars. Separate. That is a maximum separate I'm doing. Okay, we have separated so many things. Okay, see here, assign values to variables. That meaning, in which file you assign the values to the variables? Terraform.tf vars. Say that one more time. TF vars. Variables.tf, you will mention the variables. But how to, where do you define the variables? TF vars. But can I create a variable, define the values, everything in variables.tf only? I can do it. But the best way is separate it. Let's say you have dev environment, test environment, prod environments. Will you keep everything in one file? Can you create a dev.tf vars, production.tf vars? So dev.tf vars, I have T2 micro. Production is I have T2 medium. So modify in one place. Run it, no? So for reusability purpose, what we do, we will separate it. So these are all the files that we will be using in our class, in these sessions. Okay, now let me ask the question. I want you to first get, and I'm telling you, if you start liking Terraform, this is the best tool that you have learned so far. I'm telling you. See, tell me, which is the actual file, main file? That's okay, no. That is backend. Okay, when we're writing the, where do we write the main? What is the main file? Main.tf. Say that. Main.tf. Where do you mention the provider? Provider.tf separately. Where do you mention the version? Version.tf. Where do you mention the state file? Backend.tf. Where do you store the state file? S3 bucket. Can you store it locally also? You can remotely also you can store it. Okay. So and then where do you define the variables? Variables dot, Terraform.tf vars. And if you want to see the outputs, output.tf. Clear the online clear? Clear all. So what I do is, as we are in the starting step of Terraform, I'll not be creating all these files separately, but I'll slowly take you with first main.tf and variables.tf. These two we will start with it. Right? Is it clear? Good. So what do we need to do now? Installing the Terraform. So this is the only small thing that to install the Terraform. So guys, as I told you, Terraform, you can run it in your local machine also. In your local machine, what you need to have? You need to have a VS Code. So you need to install VS Code. And I know that so many people have only 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM laptops, right? So, and then installing VS Code, setting up will eat all your memory. But what you can do is, we are AWS engineers, right? What we do? We will launch EC2 instance. Inside the EC2 instance, we will install Terraform, and inside the EC2 instance itself, we will start writing the code. But you can do it on your local machine also. Guys, those who are developers, so you can install VS Code and start writing the code. So, but are we developers? Elmudra. Right? So, for that reason, what we do, let's go and set up what? EC2 instance and install what? Terraform. And we'll use AL2 only for this. Okay, do you all understand the backend? The history of Terraform and what are that it contains? So let's go and launch. Terraform. Okay, see, today, while launching this EC2 instance, Terraform needs to create entire infrastructure or not. So what we need to attach? Role or not? How we have attached for Kubernetes? So similarly, we need to attach what? Role. So we need to create what? A role with admin permissions for it. So I already have a role called Terra role. Okay. Hey, I'm very bad in this watching crickets and all. When is this finals? 24th, the IPL? Acha. When that is coming? Saturday, huh? Host name, CDL, set hyphen host name. And what we say? Terra. Which team you support? As I told you, I'm huh? I, uh, I used to play cricket before, but I don't spend time watching in. Okay, so if I say that, you will think like, sir, you are a human or you are something else. Abba, going to stadium. I'm not even watching the he's asking to going to stadium. Ha. I watch only finals, that too if I have time. But you know, if you want to watch a cricket, how many hours is waste? I mean, how many hours it will consume? 4 hours you'll be sitting in front of the TV or phone, yes or no? You know, in 4 hours, what else we can do? Huh? Huh? That's why if I say all these things, okay. Rashmita is saying, sir is watching only us. Very good. Okay, let's know. There are so many cricket fans out there, Kiran. Let's keep aside. Okay, fine. So what we do is, let's go and install what? Terraform. So how to install Terraform? There is a script, or else for now, I'll go. What we need to do first? Yum update -5. There is nothing to do. Yum update -5. Already by default it will be up to date. So no mark packages. Okay. So after that, you need to install what? Yum utils. There is nothing to do. And then remember repository. So for every Linux also in the backend repository is there. This repository should be there. So you are adding the HashiCorp repository. Then only your operating system will understand what is Terraform. So now repository got saved into /etc and all. Right? And now what do we need to do? Yum install -y Terraform. Yum install -y Terraform. So generally, without mentioning this repository, your operating system will not understand what Terraform. As you have mentioned, this repository, whenever you put the Terraform, first it will go and directly go into this and then try to download it. Okay. So yum install -y Terraform. So while it is installing, it will install within few seconds. Done. Okay. Okay. Terraform -v. What is the command? What is the command to check the version? Terraform -v. See, from here we need to write all the files, right? From here we need to write all the files. Isn't it better to create a directory? Huh? Like how we created for answer, we'll create a directory and then we'll go and write it, right? Otherwise, you put directly here in the root, not good, right? So let's go. So if you want, let's go in our home directory. Which directory? EC2 user. And then this is our own directory. So let's create what? mkdir what? Terraform. Let's create a directory first. cd Terraform. What I did, I just created directory, all the files that whatever, we'll keep it in that directory. That's a good method to do it. Even your laptop also, anywhere, create a directory and put it. Generally, same. If you have a movies to copy, what you create? You create a directory and copy the movie or not? That too, you will put a movie name of that folder and then you will create a directory, right? So here also we are creating a directory where we are putting the files. So what's the command to check the version? Terraform -v or -version, anything is fine. So here, for everything, I'll tell you one shortcut, right? In Jenkins, we have pass, right? So similarly here also in Terraform, you have few main commands to run this, your files. I call it as iPad. What's that? iPad. You know iPad? iPhone, iPad. Big one, right? So what is that? Online, put in the chat, iPad. Online, put in the chat, iPad. So I for init. Say that. I for init. So, and then next P for plan. A for apply. D for destroy. Now tell me what is iPad? I for init. So what is the command that you need to do first? Terraform init. Next Terraform plan. Terraform apply. Terraform destroy. iPad. So because many people will confuse with this, so please remember, guys, in Git also first what you need to do? Without init, can you run any Git commands? Similarly here also, without doing Terraform init, so you cannot run any kind of the commands. So what is the first command that we need to use? Yeah. Say that Terraform, what you need to do? Init. Okay. So init is only one time. Yes, init is only one time. Okay. So we did the Terraform init. So Terraform initialize an empty directory, but this directory has no Terraform configuration files. So you may begin working with Terraform immediately by creating Terraform configuration files. So Terraform.tf is what? We call it as configuration files. What is those? Config. So main.tf, variables.tf, output.tf, all these are all called what? Configuration files. What are those? So generally, if you do Terraform init now, there is nothing happened here. There's nothing happened. If you want this Terraform init to work, first you need to write one small file. So what this Terraform init will do, it will initialize a working directory and also it will download all the providers plugins. What the Terraform init will do? Download providers plugin. Interview question. What does the Terraform init will do? Download providers plugins. Which is the provider we are using? AWS. AWS has the plugins in the Terraform registry or not? Right? So you need to download all the related plugins or not? So how does the Terraform knows that I'm using AWS? Did we wrote any configuration file? Did I wrote any TF file? No. So let's go and write the first TF file. And what's the name of the TF file? That is separately we'll do. But we'll go with what? Main.tf. Say that. Main.tf. Let's go and write main.tf. Ready? Let's see. It's easy. Vi main.tf. So in this main.tf, what we need to write? First, we need to write here provider. What is that? Provider. And then which is a provider we are using here? AWS. And then block. So this is called provider block. Say that. What is called provider block. And then this is the provider block, and AWS we call it as a label. Say that. Label. Say that. Label. So we have the provider, and then here we are writing argument. Say that. Region is what here? Argument. So region is equal to, which region we are using? AP minus South minus 1. That's it. That's it. Tell me how to write again. Provider. Which space? Which one? And by the way, this is not any indentation issues will not come here. So you can write however you want. Okay. Next here. What is provider? What is provider called here? Block. What is the provider called? Block. So provider name is AWS. AWS is, we call it a label. And then region is what here? Argument. What's the value of it? AP minus South minus 1. That's it. And what we do? Whatever we write under this curly braces, we call it as what? Arguments. What we call? Argument. Provider, we call it as what? Block. And AWS, we call it as what? Label. Okay, now. So let's save it. I saved it. So we have our main.tf file is there. So now what we do? So guys, if you, this is very only 3 lines or 2 lines code we have, but in future we'll writing big lines, right? So when you are writing those lines, do you write in very format? You don't write it in format, right? So there is a command terraform fmt. Say that. If you do terraform fmt and then main.tf, so what will happen is it will put it in exact format. If you are writing this space gap, everything it will remove. Nicely it will format it. So what's the command to format your file? Terraform. Let's say for example, main.tf. Do you see? I'll remove this. I'll put like this. I'll put like this. Okay. So very bhayanakly you wrote like this. That's fine. Okay. You write like this. And if you do what? Terraform fmt. If you put fmt, it will, whatever the files you have under this directory, everything will be formatted. But if you want only one file, put it like this. And if you do vi main.tf, it's already there. So terraform fmt main.tf. So that space is, don't worry, I just removed the space. But do you see this? It's clear. Put the gap and then nicely put it here or not, right? So whatever that fmt will help you to what? Format it. Nice. Okay, Nana. So we have the main.tf. What does the main.tf contain? Only the provider information. Say that, only the provider information. If I do ls minus al, what are the directories that it has? Is there any directories we have there? No. So remember, providers has, whenever we talk about the providers, there are 2 things: provider plugins, provider version. Say that. Provider plugins, provider versions. So we wrote like this. Provider plugins meaning what on here? See, whenever you have a new or existing Terraform directory, you need to run Terraform init to prepare the directory for the Terraform commands. Provider plugin meaning what? Terraform uses plugins to interface with the cloud providers. Which provider we're using? AWS. In order that our Terraform to talk to AWS, it needs to download what? Plugins. That is called provider plugins. And version, for that plugins, what we have? We have the version. Just now I showed you. So this is the version that we are using. Which plugin we are using here? AWS provider plugin. So now let's go and do Terraform. What's the first command that I need to do? Terraform init. So if I do Terraform init, guys, okay, listen this carefully. When I create a directory, I did Terraform init. That is useless. There's nothing which can be done with that. You need to create a configuration file first and then do the Terraform init. Only one time. Only one time. Okay, now I wrote here, I have main.tf is there. And what is the first command I need to do? Terraform init. So before Terraform init, do I have any directories here? No. Now let's go Terraform init. See, no, read it what it's saying. Initializing the backend. Backend meaning here, generally where do we put? Backend meaning here, it is talking about which file? State file. Which file it is talking about? State file. Yes, Shahrukh, we'll see here. Now do you see? So, but where is that state file? That state file is in our local machine or not? Yes, the state file will be in this directory only. So, but you can, in that main.tf, you can mention to put the state file in the S3. In coming days, we will learn. But here, where is your state file? In your local machine only. See here, initializing the backend and initializing the providers plugins. Finding the latest version of HashiCorp/AWS. Where is this HashiCorp/AWS? Which version is the latest? 5.97 and 5.97. So now what it's doing, it is downloading it. What it's doing here? Downloading it. And what it says, Terraform has successfully initiated. Now you can begin with the Terraform. So once you write it, what you need to do? Terraform, plan, and then Terraform, apply, and then Terraform, destroy. By the way, init meaning you understood. Init meaning it will initialize and then it will download the provider's plugin and versions. So next one is Terraform plan. Say that. Terraform plan. Then a Terraform plan meaning it will show you the dry run. What is that? Dry run. Did I wrote any code now? Did I wrote any code to create anything here? Yes or no? No. I just downloaded the plugins. So if you want to write, if you write a code here, then what it do is, let's say I wrote a code to launch 5 EC2 instances. Then what you do? First you need to Terraform plan. Plan meaning it will not run. It will show you what it will run. Dry run. What's that? It will show you, hey Babu, this is the plan. This is a plan. That meaning it will dry run it. That meaning it will not actually run in the backend. It will show you that these are all the things will be created. That is Terraform plan. What is that? Terraform plan. So next one is Terraform apply. Apply meaning boom, it will go and do the work. It will go and create it. So once you create everything and you need to delete it, right? Can you tell me, will you delete it manually? Whatever the Terraform has created, will you delete it manually? Remember, whatever the Terraform has created the infrastructure, do not touch it manually. If you, let's say, Terraform is launched in EC2 instance with the name called Server 1. But what you did, you went to AWS console and changed to Server 2. Does the Terraform will understand Server 2? If you run this Terraform again, that will change from Server 2 to Server 1 again. Because Terraform will say, hey, in my state file, there is a name called Server 1. I'll rename that to Server 1 only. So whatever the Terraform, guys, whatever the Terraform is doing, so let it do not modify, do not change everything. Okay. So last one is Terraform destroy. What is that? Terraform destroy. Destroy meaning what? It will terminate whatever the Terraform has created. It will terminate everything. So understood those commands? What are those commands? IPAD. What are those? IPAD. Terraform init, Terraform plan, Terraform apply, Terraform destroy. There is something called Terraform validate also. Inside IPAD, put V. IVPAD. What's that? IVPAD. So validate meaning it will show whether the code is correct or not. Generally we write Bayana code, right? There might be some errors, right? Syntax errors will be there. If you want to check any syntax error, validate. Terraform init, Terraform validate, Terraform plan, Terraform apply, Terraform destroy. These are the commands of Terraform. Validate is mandatory. Mandatory every time? No. Plan is mandatory? Mandatory. It's not mandatory. Apply is mandatory. Apply is mandatory. Init is mandatory. Otherwise, Terraform will not understand what AWS is. Good, Nana. Okay. Online, is this clear till here, please? Nice. So if I do ls minus al. Oh, do you see this here? Guys, now what are the directories it got created? dot terraform dot terraform dot log dot HCL. Say that again. Dot terraform dot terraform dot log. Terraform log file we will talk about later. Let's see what is there inside the dot terraform. Right, dot terraform is a hidden directory or not? Because it is starting with dot. So now let's go in the dot terraform. What is there? CD dot terraform. I told you it will download the provider plugins or not. All those provider plugins version information will be there inside the Terraform. Sharuk. Okay. CD providers. CD registers. CD HashiCorp. CD which provider? AWS. Which version? CD Liner. And this is the provider plugin. Do we do anything here? Okay. Let's not do. So I'm back to my Sharuk bhai, I just came back. Okay. And you're getting it? So another one is terraform.log.hcl. Say that terraform.log.hcl. This log.hcl, what it does is, when you run this Terraform init, what will happen? Terraform downloads the required providers and dependencies or not, and generate this log file. So what is, if it doesn't already exist, what it will generate? If it exists, if it is there already, Terraform check the version specified in the log file and install those no versions. Meaning this terraform.log.hcl contains the version information. What information? Certification, interview question. If you're planning for certification also, same, right? Remember. So this is the log file which will log the version. Which one? Version. What does it contain? A version. So it ensures that same version of the provider plugin and modules are used every time that you run the Terraform. Now, I downloaded our plugins, right? Terraform init I did. So which version it has downloaded? 5.97 dot something, right? And that version information, that entire version information will be there in the terraform.log.hcl. Guys, minute things also I'm telling you, right? So here, whenever you run any Terraform commands, and every time first it will check the version, and then it will go and get entire information about this version only. Understood? So did I mention any version anywhere? No. But if you want, you can mention the version separately also in version.tf. Or else here also you can version. Okay, otherwise, do you see this here? I downloaded, remember this one? I can directly put this also. This is your provider and version information is there. If you are using old version, can I change it to here like this or not? Yes. But which version we are using now here? 5.97. So understand, terraform.log.hcl contains the version information. Is that clear? Online clear, please? You understand the directory structure? Okay. So let's now go and develop the code little bit. Okay. Let's do. Which file is that? Main.tf. Okay. So what I do is, if you, okay. Now tell me. So vi main.tf. Let's go and develop the code. What's the first thing? Tell me. Provider. AWS. Okay. And then here, region is equal to which one? AP minus south minus 1. This is one block. Now, let's go and launch one EC2 instance. Let's go and launch EC2 instance. EC2 instance is what? It's a resource or not? Load balancer is what? Resource. S3 is what? S3 bucket is what? Resource. RDS instance is what? Resource. Everything in AWS is a resource or not? Let's go and write that resource now. Okay. We call it as resource block. What is that? Whenever you see here resource, that meaning it is creating that resource, remember. Okay. Here we have something called a resource type. Say that. Resource is a block. What type of resource you are creating here? What you are creating here? EC2 instance. For that, predefined resource type is there. So in order to create EC2 instance, you need to always go with AWS underscore instance, which is mandatory. You should not change this. And most of the time, all the resource type will start with AWS underscore. What is this? Resource type. And here, you need to give the name of the resource. It is your wish. You can give any name. I call it as here, my instance. What is that? My instance. And the block. Whatever is there inside this parenthesis, flower brackets, we call it as what? Arguments. What we call? Arguments. Now, in order to launch an EC2 instance, what we need to provide? We need to provide what? AMI details. Let's put AMI. So, AMI is an argument here. You should not change it. Right? So, which is your AMI? What we need to provide? We need to provide the AMI ID. So, let's find out one AMI ID. I'll take this. Any AMI ID is fine. Just copy. Okay, na? Okay. That is argument and the value for it. Next is another argument. I'm going for instance type. And you should not change it. Instance underscore type. And then in bracket, in double quotes, which instance type? T2 micro. Guys, here I'm writing the values directly here in the main.dev, but actually all the values should be there in which file? Variables.tf. No. State file do not get in your mind. It will be there in the backend. You just need to keep it aside. We are not editing anything. So generally all the variables I'm declaring directly here, right? Where are all the variables are declared? Variables.tf. But if you want to define the values, tf parse. But later I'll show, but now we'll go directly here. Okay. So is this clear? Clear this file? I'm going with only little bit. So whatever you write inside the brackets, what is it called? Arguments. What is the block here? Resource block. What is the resource type? Concentration. See? Resource is a block. What's that? So resource is a block. What is this? Is a resource type. Say that resource type. This is the resource name. What's that? Resource name. And this is a argument. What's this? This is the argument. So, sir, how do I know this argument? You need to Google it for the syntax. Okay, tell me. What is the block? What's the block resource type? Resource type. Resource name. Argument. AMI and instance type. What are the arguments here? AMI. What is the resource type? AWS instance. What is the resource name? What's the block? What's the resource type? Resource name. Which one can be modified? What is this called? Resource name. Resource name can be anything. Can you change this? What is this called? Resource type. Can you change this? What is this called? Block. Resource block. Can you change this? No. What is this? Arguments. Can you change this? Yes. Understood now? If you understood this till end of the Terraform, what you can do till end of the Terraform, you can use the same process. Okay. Is it clear, Nana? Okay. Is this clear, this small configuration file? Okay. Now what we do? What we need to do? Do we have to do Terraform init again? Huh? No need. So what we need to do? Terraform validate. So when you do Terraform validate, format is also optional. You wish you can put it. Okay, so let's do Terraform what? FMT. Okay, so see now it's clearly mentioned, right? Okay, so do you see Terraform validate? What it says? Success. The configuration is valid. And next, what we need to do? Terraform plan. If I do Terraform plan, see what it shows. Terraform plan is also optional. But remember, what exactly the Terraform will be doing will be showing here first. And do you see this here clearly? AWS underscore instance dot my instance will be created, right? And it will perform all these actions. It will use this AMI and rest are all known after apply. Is it possible before only to know the IP address? No, that's why it says known after apply. So all these things will be there, and T2 micro we have mentioned, and then here by default it's there, and all these things known after apply. And plan one, it clearly says here what is here. 1 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. Is there any changes happening here? No. So what is doing? It is adding. Adding meaning it is creating a instance. What's the next thing? Terraform apply. Say that Terraform apply. So guys, okay, let's see. See here. Now Terraform apply. If I apply, what will happen? EC2 instance will be launched or not? Let's do Terraform apply. Okay. What it's showing here? When I say Terraform apply, do you want to perform these actions? Terraform will perform these actions described above. Only yes will be accepted to approve. Enter a value. What I need to do? Put yes. But every time will you do this? No. For that reason, what we do is Terraform apply -- auto approve we'll give. What's that? Auto approve. So here for now, first time I'm showing you here yes. So what it shows here? Output is important. See here. What is doing? AWS underscore instance is a resource type and my instance is a resource name. It is what it's doing? It is creating. So whenever you see the plus symbols are there, no? Plus symbol meaning it is creating. Minus symbol meaning deleting. Plus symbol meaning here creating. Minus will be deleting. Remember all that. These are all minimum things that people don't know. Right? Plus always go for creating. Minus for deleting. If you see till symbol, updating. What's that? Updating. Guys, here now, EC2 instance got created or not? EC2 instance got created. So now let's go here and if I refresh, see EC2 instance got launched. So do it from EC2 instance first. And you need to use your keys, Kiran, access keys, secret keys, you need to configure on your local. Okay, online, is this clear till here? So you understand what is state file is? Why state file is important? Terraform must store state about your managed infrastructure and configuration, right? So to keep the track of all your metadata, entire information will be there in which file? State file. And there are two types of states. Say that local state, remote state. Say that local state, remote state. Local state meaning your file will be here locally available. See ls-al. What is this? Terraform.tf state. What is the extension of the Terraform state file? TF state. Powerful interview question. Very important. What is the Terraform state file name? Terraform.tf state. TF state. This is the Bhayanak wala. Do not touch it. Do not modify it. And it contains what? Entire information about your infrastructure. If you do cat terraform.tf state, okay. See, it contains one EC2 instance got launched, right? That entire EC2 instance information will be there. If you push go and delete this Terraform state file, Terraform will not understand anything. If you do Terraform, if you delete it and do Terraform destroy, it does what to destroy? There's nothing there in state file. So whatever in the state file will be there, that will get destroyed. So if it is in local, we call it as local state. If it is in remote, we call it as what? A remote state. What we call here a remote state. Okay, so here, how many resources are there inside the state file? 1. So if you want to know that, Terraform state list. Say that. Terraform state list. See, this is the resource that is there or not? What's the command to list the resources from the state file? Terraform state list. Online? So now, I told you about log.html, and this also current state versus desired state. Say that. Current state. Current state meaning what? At the moment, what is the current state? How many EC2 instances are there? 1. In your AWS console, whatever is there in your AWS console, which is created by Terraform, is the current state. Desired state meaning whatever the values that you are giving now. Now I modify the that main.tf, and then I mention some other things. That is a desired state. So this current state versus desired state, which is very important. Okay, see here now. So now, yeah, man, this time. Okay, so here, what I'm putting here, count is equal to 5. So if I go here and then vi main.tf, here I'm adding one more argument called, what argument I'm adding here? Count argument. What argument is here? Count. So count, if I'm putting here what? Count is equal to how many? 5. That meaning how many EC2 instances will be launched here now? 5. So I modified the file. So I need to, what I need to do? Terraform. Directly, while you are practicing, validate, that's for fun. But what I'm doing now? Directly apply. So directly we'll apply. But this time, I'll say what? Auto approve. Because it will not ask for it. Auto approve. See now how many EC2 instances is creating here? 4. 1 is already there. So rest how many? So what is the first index? Index is 0. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. How many got added here now? 4 got added. That means 4 EC2 instances got launched. Clear, Anna? Online, you're getting it? Okay, if you want to list the resources from the state file, what's the command? Terraform state list. Do you see? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many are there here? 4. Is it clear? And if you want to delete a specific, guys, if you want to delete, so we have concept called target. Say that. If you want to delete a particular target, you can. What is it? Terraform destroy auto approve -target is equal to whichever the target that you want to put, you can put it here. But if you want to delete everything, tell me here, Terraform destroy auto approve. So we'll be able to do this, guys. Everyone understood? So what are the concepts that we have learned here? A lot of concepts. See. Say yes or no. You know what is Terraform? History of Terraform? Advantages? Alternatives? Terraform versus Ansible difference? Installing Terraform? And Terraform file structure? You know what is block, labels, arguments? And you understand init, validate, plan, apply, destroy? And writing the code, how to launching the EC2 instance? What is a state file? What is a log file? Local state, remote state, actual state versus desired state, count argument, single target, and multi-target deletion. Clear? I want everyone to do this and come tomorrow. Please. Because if you don't do this, next concept you will not understand. At least whatever you have the pending topics before, leave it. You can do it. But first complete these practicals and then tomorrow we'll go with the other things. Will you able to do this? Huh? Okay, Nana. I'm a little bit serious on this because if you want to learn about Terraform, please try to complete the practicals. Okay. Clear, Nana? Online? Can you get the final CC for today, please? So once you do Terraform destroy, do you see? So still destroying, so it will destroy. See, now it says destroy completed. Resources, how many? 5 got destroyed. Okay. These are all terminated and these also you terminate. Okay, Nana? So I'll put all these things in your Google Classroom. So please complete all these things and please read all the theory that I have mentioned, which will be good for your interviews. Okay. So that is all. Let's connect tomorrow, Saturday. We have class. Tomorrow, Saturday, we have class. Don't miss the class, please. Okay. So that's all. Let's connect tomorrow with the Terraform topics. Until then, take care, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.